Yo, all right. So essentially, let me sum the what I was talking about in the past two videos. Part one and part two. So essentially, trying to get to try to figure out what did I forget. But yeah, essentially that's how golf is. Like those bags that I was talking about, that with the like all the clubs in the bag, they obviously are played for different shots. Fairway, you probably use what they call an iron, and by the sand there at the bunker you probably use a wedge. These are just the technicalities of it. It's not that important for you, but it's important that you go watch golf from here. Just watch a bit of golf and try and familiarize yourself with it, because essentially when I will mention players and stuff like that, the current players, share my data, how I analyze everything. So yeah, and then like I was saying with the rounds, there are 4 rounds. First 2 rounds there's a cutoff. Like usually a cutoff will just be, if maybe the tournament started off with 150 players, we'll probably end up with around 60 something players. Depends how tough the golf course is. Like last week at Oakmont, US Open, this was, you rarely get a cutoff at plus, but the cutoff was +7. So that means the cutoff was having exceeded the golf course with 7 shots. Imagine for the day. So for the round, somebody will have exceeded with a +7, and they made it through to the last 2 days. That's to show how tough the golf course was, right? So essentially, yeah, that's it with, in terms of, then you get through the 4 rounds, and come on, I'm trying to remember what I was, as I was saying, the golf courses are different. That's what makes golf so mysterious, especially with the betting, because you never know, like, the odds are so, sometimes the data is so irrelevant. Like at the US Open, I watched some podcast prior to the US Open, these guys analyzing, the guys that in America, the pro bettors, sports bettors, who analyze data and deal with a lot. And some of the things they said, they didn't, because it's real time. Underdogs, don't forget the underdogs. I mean, JJ Spawn, the guy who won this tournament, was probably like, what, it's his first major tournament. And like I'm saying, he won with a +1. Now that you understand, you can understand, like a +1, that was the winning score. I mean, a -1 rather. Number two had a +1, so you can imagine the number two had done a penalty, had a bogey. So that's to show how the golf course was, right? So in terms of the sports betting aspect, right? The nice thing with golf is you are able to bet on the outright winner. You're also able to access the top 5, top 20, top 10 markets, right? So that sort of like gives you an allowance to sort of like have security for your bets. And the nice thing with golf is you can really bet with very, 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 very low money, because the odds sometimes, like I'm saying, there's some players that are not expected to win or to do better or whatever. And then on that day, they surprise you. Like I was talking about the tee off times. The tee off times can count sometimes. Sometimes, like, a player will tee off first on Thursday, will be the first player to tee off, and he starts off with a good score, and then he stays on top throughout the tournament. Like JJ Spawn, he kind of started off at a high score, and he wasn't always leading, but he always stayed there. So I think my next video, I'm gonna prepare something solid for, like, for us now to get into the sports betting aspect. But I just want you, from here on going, let's just go understand golf. Go read. So in fact, what you can do, once just go on YouTube, look up videos or whatever, and also you can just go on Google, write PGA Tour schedule 2025. It'll show you all the tournaments, and then you can just go back and just watch the whole data of who was winning, who was at number what, that might be useful. I'll touch on that in that video that I'm gonna do on sports betting, because I think before I do a video on sports betting, I'll probably have to talk about sports betting and gambling in general, because it's a very important issue, to for people to understand what they're getting into. Because actually I was surprised. I've been meeting some people who haven't gotten onto betting, and which is great, because they are sort of skeptical. They want to understand this thing first. You could understand somebody's not a sporty person or something like that. So I have to talk about that, and then I get into. But it's nothing much really. Maybe some of you are even gonna start betting before I even get on to the actual sports betting aspect of golf. But that's pretty much it, man. You just need to go watch golf. It's a really fascinating sport, guys. It's a sport of character. I think these guys, they have great character, because to enjoy 18 holes in 4 days, ooh, that's gruesome. So that's one aspect actually of golf that you see. Like some players, they're good starters. Like somebody will start at a high score, but they are unable to sustain that throughout the tournament. So part of sports betting is sort of identifying those type of players. Like there are some that start really low, and then they start low and then they pick up as they go, which I would say that finishers, that grinders. A guy like Scotty Scheffler. I don't like to bet on Scotty Scheffler at the beginning of a tournament, because his odds are usually just ridiculously low. So I don't have a lot of money to bet. So I'd wait for him to maybe have a bad start, because I know he's a grinder. At some point, maybe his odds will pick up, but even the sport books know that Scheffler is a grinder, right? So, but we'll get into that. But I guess you guys kind of get what the whole market is about, the golf betting market is about. But all in all, go research on betting. And maybe you want to hit me up, help my channel or whatever, so I can improve the content and the quality of how I deliver it and stuff. You can hit me on my email. That's pgagobepe@gmail, pgagobepe@gmail.com. Or you can hit the WhatsApp line for the company. It's +267 7418 7935. So I think maybe with time we'll have a little WhatsApp group for all the golf betting fanatics. I hope there's some who actually start wanting to explore this, not as a way to hustle, because you can't really rely on sports betting as sort of like it's gonna make you money. You can't, we're not really professional bettors on this side of the continent. But yeah, sometimes you will win some money, but it's also fun in the process. It adds a whole other dimension to your sporting experience, right? So yeah, stay tuned, man. And to the gents, let's not hit the ladies. Sometimes they'll do some funny things and then they'll get us angry, but let's not hit the gents and ladies. Let's treat them like champions, man. God bless.